So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another album review of The Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're going to talk about the brand new album by a band called Red Temple Prey. And they're a band from Columbus, Ohio, who play alternative, like rock music, and the album is called Can It Get Any Worse? So, for those of you that don't know the band, there's this band, that they formed a few like years ago. They have a previous EP, but this is their first full length. And it's an album that it's alternative rock with that 90s style, but something that Red Temple Prey does really well is have like melodic pop sensibilities in the choruses, with some heavy ass riffing. And that's a lot that a lot of bands in the 90s were able to do that. You remember bands like Weezer, for example, who could do like the great pop sensibilities, but also some great riffing in their first album. So yeah, they don't sound like Weezer, but there's a lot of bands in the 90s that did that, and all of a sudden I thought Weezer was a great example to give. So yeah, this is 11 tracks, 36 minutes in length, and it's an album that flows by fairly quickly. The singer Josh Richter, I think he's got a good melodic voice, and I think the songwriting on this album is really quite very good. It's a band that I discovered and I got to interview on the channel. So if you haven't seen that interview, I'll put the link at the end for this because it's very interesting. We talk a lot about like 90s and songs from the record. So if you haven't watched that interview, it's a pretty good one, and I'll put it at the end of this album review. So let's talk some of the tracks, shall we? So they have some tracks that, believe it or not, are not a single, like Before the Bombs Go Off, which is one of my favorite tracks on the record. And the song is all about it's a love song basically. And it's where he says like before the bombs go off, it's like basically saying before the shit hits the fan. And it's a song about like you're fighting with your girl or in a relationship, and you're like, oh, let's love each other before the bombs goes off. And it's got a great chorus, so it's like before the bombs go off, and it's earwormy, and I like those catchy choruses, man. And it has it in spades. But also it has some softer tracks like Heaven Like You, which is another love song, and it starts like more acoustic, like softer guitars, not acoustic, but more softer. And he's saying all about like heaven is a lot like you, and when you meet someone and it's so brand new, and or you're so in love that it feels like heaven like them. The song picks up later in the song, and it gets a little bit more faster in pace. There's every song here almost is not like super slow. They pick up the pace in almost every song. And you have a song like Sirens, that it has such a great chorus where it's like, call your mother. And I just love the choruses on this album. And you have tracks that were singles. There's the track like Chlorine, Bottle Rocket, and Down the Drain. Down the Drain finishes the album, and that's a like faster track, 2 minutes and 49 seconds, and like very like type of like alternative grungy guitars to it. Bottle Rocket is another fast song, and again great choruses on it. And Chlorine, I think has like a very interesting chorus on it, and something that it says something like, I'm not like the cross that you wear on your chest. So it's like religious undertones in an interesting way. And that's not the only song that has some religious undertones. There's a song like Check the Kids, where he's talking about like there was a huge satanic craze like at the ending of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, and I think that's what the song is implying. And he goes in a chorus like, someone please check the kids. Are the kids all right? We don't know, because hey, they could be taken over by this satanic plague. And I thought it was very tongue-in-cheek and very fun. And again, the choruses again on this one are great. And something that this album has in spades is that I think all these 11 songs could be singles. I think they're that catchy, and I'm surprised more people are not talking about Red Temple Pray. So I'm very glad I got this promo. I got to talk to the band and also listen to this. And this came out February 9th. So I've been listening to this a month, and I said, you know what, I wanna review this album because I think if you like those like bands from the 90s that could have like heavy subject matter but do it in a way that's very catchy and melodic, like for another example, Third Eye Blind, which had a song called Semi-Charmed Life, which is about doing crystal meth, but it sounded so happy that it was a top radio hit. These songs here have that ability, in my opinion. Maybe, this is not the most popular music right now, but I like it. It has that nostalgia factor for me that takes me to that years where bands put out these great infectious songs and also rocking and with interesting lyrics, which is something that I think is lacking today in a lot of like younger alternative rock bands. So yeah, I think this is an album that if you like those bands that I mentioned, if you like pop sensibilities with heavy riffing, you do not sleep on Red Temple Pray. And as I said, I spoke to Josh and we go deeper into some of the meanings of this song. So please check that out. And if you haven't listened to this album, listen to it and tell me which are your favorite tracks. And if you like the videos that I'm putting out, do not forget to give me a like and do not forget to subscribe. I have more content on the way. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Chill Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.